The 1970s were a wild time for Australian food. While our kitchens today focus on modern Oz cuisine and smashed avo, the 1970s celebrated convenience, bold flavours and adventurous combinations that merged traditional Aussie tucker with exotic international influences. Let's rediscover 25 forgotten dinners from the 1970s that are too good to forget. Number 25. Apricot chicken. The ultimate 70s weeknight dinner solution graced millions of Australian tables with its sweet and savoury presence. Apricot chicken combined chicken pieces, apricot nectar, and French onion soup mix to create a glossy golden sauce that became an instant classic. Mums loved how affordable and simple it was, requiring just 3 ingredients that could be kept in the pantry, while kids could not resist the sweet, sticky sauce. It first appeared in the Australian Women's Weekly in 1976, and it quickly became the most requested recipe in the magazine's history. Many families personalised their version with curry powder or soy sauce for depth. This retro classic could feed a family of 6 for just a few dollars, making it the MVP of budget-friendly meals that still felt special when served over fluffy rice or creamy mashed potatoes. Sausages underwent a dramatic makeover in the 1970s when creative homemakers started simmering them in a mild curry sauce. This showstopper dish transformed humble beef snags into something exotic, yet comfortingly familiar. The base consisted of thick beef sausages, sliced onions, diced carrots, and frozen peas, all swimming in a curry-flavoured gravy made with Keen's curry powder, the iconic yellow tin found in every Australian pantry. After browning, the sausages were sliced into chunks and simmered until the sauce thickened to a glossy consistency. Ambitious cooks added sultanas or diced apple for sweetness, while others included fruit chutney to enhance the flavour. Everything cooked in one pan, making cleanup minimal. When served, the rich curry sauce soaked into mashed potatoes or rice, creating a meal that felt special. This Aussie adaptation represented how Australian cuisine was expanding its flavour profiles, incorporating international influences while maintaining familiar formats that would not scare the kids. Number 23. Chicken Kiev. The crumbed chicken dish of dreams, chicken Kiev, brought restaurant sophistication to home dining rooms. This elegant preparation featured a flattened chicken breast wrapped around a cylinder of garlic and parsley butter, then crumbed and fried or baked until golden. When cut into, the molten butter would dramatically spurt out, creating a tableside moment that felt like dining at a fancy continental restaurant. The technique required patience. The butter had to be frozen solid. The chicken had to be pounded paper thin, and careful handling prevented the precious butter from escaping during cooking. Some variations included adding ham or cheese inside for extra indulgence. The dish could be prepared ahead and frozen, making it perfect for impressing unexpected dinner guests. Chicken Kiev represented the 70s trend of bringing continental cuisine to suburban Australia, embodying Australians' fascination with European cooking and their determination to master sophisticated techniques at home. These golden parcels of joy were the ultimate party food and school canteen staple. Sausage rolls combined seasoned pork mince wrapped in flaky puff pastry, baked until crispy and golden. Every Australian bakery had their version, and mums made them by the dozen for birthday parties and weekend sporting events. The filling typically included breadcrumbs, finely diced onion, egg for binding, and a generous splash of Worcestershire sauce. Ambitious home cooks added grated carrot or zucchini to sneak vegetables past the kids. The pastry was brushed with beaten egg before baking, creating a glossy finish. They could be eaten hot or cold, travelled well, and were equally at home at a fancy morning tea or a footy match. The essential accompaniment was always tomato sauce, never ketchup, squirted in a generous zigzag across the top or pulled on the side for dipping. This portable meal represented Australian food culture perfectly, unpretentious, satisfying, and universally loved. Lamingtons, Australia's national cake, achieved peak popularity in the 70s when they became the go-to fundraiser for every school, church, and community group across the country. Lamingtons combined squares of butter sponge cake dipped in chocolate icing and rolled in desiccated coconut, creating a sweet treat that left coconut flakes everywhere you looked. The origin story says Lord Lamington's chef accidentally dropped sponge cake into chocolate and rolled it in coconut to stop guests' fingers getting messy. By the 70s, Lamingtons were everywhere, from suburban bakeries to church fetes. The traditional version was plain chocolate and coconut, but ambitious bakers would slice them horizontally and sandwich them with raspberry jam and fresh cream. The key to perfect Lamingtons was using a firm, day-old sponge that would not fall apart when dipping. Making Lamingtons was always a messy affair, with coconut ending up all over the kitchen, but that was part of the Aussie tradition. These coconut-covered cubes represented community spirit, as Saturday morning Lamington making sessions brought neighbours together for fundraising. Number 20. Pavlova. The dessert that launched 1,000 arguments with New Zealand, Pavlova became the centrepiece of every Australian celebration in the 70s. This magnificent creation featured a crisp meringue shell with a soft marshmallow-like centre, topped with whipped cream and fresh fruit. Named after Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova during her 1920s tour, by the 70s it had become so thoroughly Australian that no Christmas, birthday or dinner party was complete without one. The magic was in the texture contrast, the crackly exterior giving way to soft meringue. The topping varied by season. Passion fruit pulp was the classic choice, its tartness cutting through the sweetness, while summer Pavlovas featured strawberries and kiwi fruit. The key to success was patience. The meringue needed slow baking and cooling in the oven with the door ajar. Making Pavlova was a rite of passage for young Australian brides, with techniques and secrets passed down from mothers to daughters across generations. This cloud-like dessert represented Australian hospitality at its finest. Crumbed dishes ruled the 70s, and Schnitzel was the king. This German import featured thin veal, pork or chicken, pounded paper-thin, coated in flour, egg and breadcrumbs, then fried until the coating puffed up golden and crispy. Australian families embraced Schnitzel because it was quick, filling, and the kids never complained. The meat had to be pounded properly thin for the crumb to puff correctly. The traditional accompaniment was creamy mashed potato and a wedge of lemon, the acidic juice cutting through the rich coating. Some families served it with green salad, while others went full continental with potato salad. The best schnitzels had a coating that separated slightly from the meat during frying, creating those irresistible crispy pockets of air. Leftover schnitzel became next day's lunch, sliced on white bread with butter and tomato. This European import represented how Australian cooking was becoming more cosmopolitan. Number 18. Tuna mornay. This creamy casserole brought French flavours to Australian weeknight dinners. Tuna mornay combined tinned tuna with a rich mornay sauce made from bechamel and added cheese. The mixture was poured over cooked pasta shells, topped with extra cheese and breadcrumbs, then baked until golden and bubbling. The beauty was stretching a single tin of tuna to feed an entire family. The mornay sauce was made by melting butter, stirring in flour, then gradually whisking in milk until smooth. Grated cheese was stirred through until melted, creating a sauce that coated everything in luxurious richness. Some variations included frozen peas or corn for colour, while others added sliced mushrooms. The breadcrumb topping created a crunchy contrast to the creamy interior. This dish could be assembled in the morning and refrigerated, ready to bake when Mum got home from work. Tuna mornay represented the practical approach to French cooking that Australians perfected. Number 17. Beef stroganoff with rice. This Russian-inspired dish became an Australian dinner party staple, offering sophistication without fuss. Beef stroganoff traditionally featured strips of beef fillet in a creamy mushroom and sour cream sauce, but Australian home cooks made it more accessible by using cheaper cuts or even mince. The dish started with searing beef strips in butter, then removing them while onions and mushrooms cooked in the same pan. A splash of brandy added depth for some cooks, though many skipped that step. The sauce came together with beef stock, tomato paste for colour, and sour cream stirred through at the end, creating a rich, creamy sauce that felt fancy but came together in under 30 minutes. Serving it over fluffy rice made the meal complete, with the rice soaking up every drop of sauce. Some variations added a squeeze of lemon juice for brightness or a scattering of fresh parsley. Beef stroganoff represented Australian adaptability, taking international recipes and making them work with local ingredients and modest budgets. Cheese and bacon rolls were the ultimate party finger food. In the 70s, they were the first thing to disappear from any cocktail party. These addictive morsels combined thin sliced white bread with the crust removed, spread with a mixture of cream cheese, grated cheddar, and sometimes Worcestershire sauce, then wrapped around bacon and baked until crispy. The genius was in the contrasts: soft, cheese-soaked bread inside, salty, crispy bacon outside. Making them was a production line affair. Bread was rolled flat, spread with the cheese mixture, wrapped with bacon and secured with toothpicks before baking. They emerged golden and sizzling, filled the house with an irresistible aroma, and had to be served immediately while hot. Some variations added spring onions to the cheese mixture. These rolls were make-ahead friendly. They could be assembled in the morning and refrigerated until party time. They represented the 70s approach to entertaining, impressive, without being pretentious. Number 15, corned beef with white sauce. Traditional British fare remained popular in the 70s in Australia, and corned beef was the ultimate Sunday roast alternative. This salt-cured beef brisket was simmered for hours with onions, cloves, and bay leaves until tender enough to fall apart. The meat turned a distinctive pink colour and developed a unique salty sweet flavour that divided families. The classic accompaniment was white sauce, a simple bechamel enriched with butter, poured generously over slices of tender beef. Boiled or mashed potatoes soaked up the sauce, while carrots and cabbage completed the meal in true British fashion. Some families added mustard to the white sauce for a sharper bite, while others served it with pickles or chutney on the side. The best part was leftovers. Cold corned beef, sliced thin for sandwiches with butter and mustard, became next day lunch. This humble meal represented Australia's deep and enduring connection to British culinary traditions. Number 14, rissoles with tomato sauce. These golden brown patties were the Australian answer to hamburgers, using the same mince but shaped differently and fried instead of grilled. Rissoles combined beef mince with breadcrumbs soaked in milk, grated onion, egg for binding, and a generous shake of Worcestershire sauce. The mixture was shaped into oval patties, coated in flour or more breadcrumbs, then fried in butter until crispy outside and juicy inside. The key was getting the ratio right, enough breadcrumbs to stretch the mince and hold the shape, but not so much that you were eating meat-flavoured bread. Some families added grated carrot or curry powder for extra flavour. The beauty was their versatility and economy. A kilo of mince could make enough rissoles to feed a family for 2 nights with leftovers. Rissoles were typically served with mashed potato and peas, with tomato sauce on the side. Cold rissoles between buttered white bread made an excellent sandwich. The bright red mystery sausages that defined many Australian childhoods were Saveloys, smooth, slightly spicy Frankfurter-style sausages that kids absolutely loved. These pre-cooked sausages only needed heating, either boiled or fried, which made them the ultimate quick dinner solution for busy weeknight meals. The traditional serving paired them with creamy mashed potato and tinned peas, with tomato sauce providing the essential flavour bridge. Some families bought them from the fish and chip shop already battered and deep fried. The bright red colour came from food colouring, and no one in the 1970s questioned what exactly went into making them. They were cheap, the kids ate them without complaint, and that was all that mattered. School canteens sold them on white bread rolls with tomato sauce, creating the iconic Saveloy sanger that cost 20 cents. These controversial sausages represented Australian pragmatism when feeding the family mattered more than worrying about processed meat ingredients. The ultimate party dip, French onion dip, became synonymous with 70s Australian entertaining. This simple creation combined a packet of French onion soup mix stirred into sour cream, creating an addictive dip that kept guests hovering around the snack table all evening. The dried onion pieces softened in the sour cream, releasing concentrated flavour while still keeping a bit of texture. The dip was often served in a hollowed-out cob loaf or a fancy glass bowl, surrounded by mountains of Smith's potato chips, preferably rippled for maximum scooping. Some hosts added chopped spring onions for colour, or stirred through grated cheese. Making it required no cooking skills, just stirring 2 ingredients together and refrigerating for a few hours. Everyone loved it. It paired perfectly with beer, and it could be thrown together at the last minute. Leftover dip became a topping for baked potatoes. This humble creation represented the democratization of entertaining. Number 11, vol au vents with creamy filling. These delicate puff pastry cases brought French sophistication to Australian dinner parties. Vol au vents were essentially edible bowls made from puff pastry, baked until golden and puffed, then filled with creamy mixtures ranging from curried egg to seafood to chicken and mushroom. The name literally meant windblown in French. Hostesses bought them ready-made from the bakery, which made entertaining simpler. The fillings showcased creativity. A white sauce base could feature anything from tinned salmon to leftover chicken. Curried egg versions featured hard-boiled eggs in a mild curry sauce, while seafood varieties combined prawns, crab and salmon. Garnishes were important. Paprika, parsley or a single prawn elevated them to a professional look. They were served as finger food at cocktail parties or as dinner party starters. The pastry cases dried out quickly, so timing was crucial. These French-inspired treats represented Australian aspirations toward continental sophistication. Number 10, Steak Diane. This theatrical tableside dish brought restaurant pizzazz into Australian dining rooms. Steak Diane featured thin beef fillet steaks, quickly pan-fried, then flambéed in a rich sauce of butter, Worcestershire sauce, cream, mustard and brandy. The flames leaping from the pan were as much part of the appeal as the flavour. Named after the Roman goddess of the hunt, by the 70s it had become the signature dish for hosts wanting to show off their culinary skills. The steaks were seared quickly in very hot butter, then removed while the sauce was assembled. Sliced mushrooms, garlic and brandy created the base, with the alcohol dramatically set alight, creating impressive flames. Cream, mustard and Worcestershire sauce finished the sauce, poured over the waiting steaks. The dish had to be served immediately, with steaks still pink and the sauce bubbling hot. Usually accompanied by crispy chips and green salad, it represented the height of sophistication. Steak Diane embodied the 70s love affair with dramatic cooking. Number 9, Chiko roll. The Australian answer to the Chinese spring roll, the Chiko roll became an icon of Australian takeaway food culture. This chunky, deep-fried roll contained a mixture of cabbage, barley, carrot, green beans, beef and seasonings, all wrapped in a thick, crispy tube you could hold one-handed at the footy. Created in Bendigo, Victoria specifically for eating one-handed at sporting events, it was heartier than Asian spring rolls. The thick pastry stayed crispy and did not fall apart, perfect for eating while watching cricket or rugby league. The filling was savoury and satisfying, though exactly what went into it remained somewhat mysterious. Chiko rolls were never homemade. They were bought at the fish and chip shop or the footy ground, served piping hot in a paper napkin. They represented a uniquely Aussie approach to international cuisine, taking inspiration from Asian food but creating something distinctly Australian. No trip to the footy in the 70s was complete without a Chiko roll in one hand and a cold beer in the other. Number 8, Scotch eggs. These British pub snacks found enthusiastic adoption in Australian kitchens and picnic baskets. Scotch eggs are hard-boiled eggs wrapped in seasoned sausage meat, coated in breadcrumbs and deep-fried until golden. The cross-section was beautiful, the white and yellow eggs surrounded by savoury meat and a crispy coating. They were fiddly to make but worth the effort, perfect for picnics, lunchboxes or party food served with mustard. The eggs had to be boiled just right so the yolk remained slightly soft. The sausage meat needed even covering, and careful handling during crumbing maintained the shape. Some creative cooks added herbs or curry powder to the sausage meat for extra flavour, while others made miniature versions using quail eggs for parties. They could be served hot or cold, making them incredibly versatile. Scotch eggs represented the 1970s enthusiasm for British cooking that required technique and patience. These sweet treats brought tropical flavours to Australian dessert tables. Pineapple fritters featured rings of tinned pineapple dipped in a light sweetened batter and deep fried until golden and puffy. They emerged crispy outside, with warm, sweet pineapple soft inside, creating an addictive textural contrast. Traditionally served as dessert, they were dusted with cinnamon sugar and often accompanied by vanilla ice cream or whipped cream. The batter was crucial. Too thick and it overwhelmed the pineapple. Too thin and it did not coat properly. The trick was getting the oil temperature right. Some families served them as a special breakfast treat, while others made them for backyard barbecue desserts. The pineapple had to be well drained, otherwise the batter would not stick. These simple fritters represented Australian resourcefulness, transforming an affordable tinned ingredient into something truly special. The holy trinity of Australian baking, caramel slice combined a buttery shortbread base with a thick layer of golden caramel and a chocolate topping. First appearing in Australian women's weekly cookbooks in the 70s, it quickly became the most popular item at school fetes and community fundraisers. The shortbread base was pressed into the pan and baked until just golden. The caramel layer was the tricky part, made with condensed milk, butter and golden syrup, slowly cooked while stirring constantly to prevent burning until it reached perfect consistency. Poured over the cooled base and left to set, it was then topped with melted chocolate mixed with kofa. The result was impossibly rich, with each layer distinct yet harmonious. Cutting required a hot knife for clean edges. These slices were made by the trayful for fundraisers, with each piece earning valuable dollars for the cause. Caramel slice represented Australian baking at its most democratic. Number 5. Deviled sausages. These spicy sweet sausages brought a touch of heat to Australian dinner tables. Deviled sausages featured thick beef sausages cut into chunks and simmered in a tangy sauce made with tomato sauce, Worcestershire sauce, mustard, brown sugar and vinegar. The sauce was simultaneously sweet, sour and spicy, coating every piece in glossy goodness. The name deviled referred to the spiciness, though by modern standards they were quite mild. The method was simple. Brown the sausages, make the sauce in the same pan, return the sausages and simmer until everything melded together. Some families added chopped onions or capsicum, while others kept it simple. The dish was almost always served over mashed potato, which soaked up the delicious sauce. Leftover deviled sausages made excellent toasted sandwiches the following day. This dish represented Australian adaptation of British deviled cooking traditions, toned down to suit family tastes. Number 4. Cheese and celery bites. These retro appetizers were the height of sophistication at 70s cocktail parties. Cheese and celery bites featured crisp celery stalks filled with a mixture of cream cheese, grated cheddar, and sometimes curry powder or Worcestershire sauce, topped with a walnut half or a dusting of paprika. The assembly was simple. Wash and trim the celery, mix the cheese filling, then pipe or spread it into the celery groove, garnish, and refrigerate. The crunch of celery against smooth, rich cheese created a perfect textural contrast, while the filling turned plain celery into something luxurious. Some variations added chopped dates or blue cheese. They were make-ahead friendly, assembled in the morning and kept chilled until guests arrived. These elegant finger foods required no cooking, just good ingredients and neat presentation. They represented the 70s cocktail party aesthetic, where elegance came from simplicity. No party in the 1970s was complete without a cheese ball taking pride of place on the snack table. This spherical showpiece combined cream cheese, grated cheddar, Worcestershire sauce and seasonings, formed into a ball and rolled in chopped nuts, herbs or bacon bits. The preparation happened a day ahead, giving flavours time to develop and the cheese time to firm up. Some families made theirs with blue cheese for stronger flavour, while others kept it mild. The coating varied from pecans for sophistication, to crushed potato chips for crunch, to crispy bacon for savoury richness. The cheese ball was presented on a plate surrounded by crackers, SAOs, jats, and water crackers. Making one required no cooking skills, just mixing and shaping, yet the presentation was impressive. The beauty was in its versatility, served at elegant dinner parties or casual backyard barbecues with equal success. This spherical centerpiece represented the democratization of Australian entertaining. These colourful refrigerator cakes became the birthday party staple of every Australian kid in the 1970s. Jelly slices featured a sweet biscuit base topped with flavoured jelly mixed with condensed milk to create a creamy, pastel-coloured middle layer, finished with a chocolate topping. The base was crushed, Milk arrowroot biscuits mixed with melted butter and pressed into a slice tin. The jelly layer was the magic. Aeroplane jelly mixed with condensed milk created a smooth, sweet layer that was not quite jelly and not quite cheesecake, but utterly delicious. Colours ranged from strawberry pink to lime green to orange, with rainbow versions appearing at celebrations. The chocolate top was usually melted chocolate mixed with kofa. These slices required no baking, just mixing, setting and patience while each layer firmed up. They travelled well, stayed fresh for days, and could be cut into perfect squares. Every school fete and birthday party featured at least 3 different jelly slices. These refrigerator cakes represented Australian ingenuity in dessert making. Number 1. Cheese and bacon quiche. This French import became thoroughly Australianised in kitchens of the 1970s. Quiche had a buttery short crust pastry case filled with eggs, cream, grated cheese and crispy bacon, baked until the filling puffed up golden. Initially considered exotic, by mid-decade, every suburban hostess had mastered it. The pastry could be shop-bought for convenience or homemade for special occasions. The filling was endlessly variable: ham and cheese, spinach and feta, mushroom and onion, or the classic Lorraine. The key was getting the egg to cream ratio right. Too much egg and it was rubbery. Too much cream and it was too soft. Quiche could be served hot, warm or cold, making it perfect for everything from Sunday brunch to picnic lunches to dinner party starters. Cut into tiny squares, it became cocktail party finger food. This versatile dish represented the 70s fascination with French cooking, and it proved that Australian home cooks could master sophisticated dishes with confidence. Tim Tam truffles. These no-bake treats turned Australia's favourite biscuit into party sophistication. Tim Tam truffles combined crushed Tim Tam biscuits with cream cheese or condensed milk, rolled into balls and coated in cocoa powder, melted chocolate or coconut. The preparation was simple, but the result was impressive, looking like chocolates from a fancy shop. Kids loved helping crush the Tim Tams, usually by smashing them in a plastic bag with a rolling pin. The mixture was chilled to make rolling easier, then formed into uniform balls and rolled in the chosen coating. Some creative cooks made them with different Tim Tam varieties: original, double coat, or mint slice biscuits. They could be decorated with a drizzle of white chocolate or topped with a coffee bean. These truffles were make-ahead friendly, stored in the fridge or frozen for weeks. They represented Australian resourcefulness, taking an already delicious product and elevating it into something served at grown-up parties. Every Christmas, birthday, and special occasion saw plates of these irresistible truffles appearing. The 1970s in Australia represented a unique moment when traditional British cooking met new international influences, when convenience foods revolutionised home kitchens, and when dinner parties became the primary form of entertainment. These dishes, whether elegant or everyday, expensive or economical, represented Australian adaptability and creativity. While some have disappeared from modern tables, they remain beloved memories, reminders of a time when food was about bringing families and communities together rather than individual dietary preferences. These forgotten favourites deserve recognition not just as nostalgia, but as important parts of Australian culinary history, proof that good cooking is not about complexity or expense, but about making the most of available ingredients and creating memories around the dinner table.